In this video, we'll be looking at some of the most scary and creepy TikToks that you probably shouldn't watch before you go to bed.
This is why you feel like someone is watching you sometimes. TikTok user Andy was recording a seemingly innocent lip sync video when this happened.
Yo, you see that behind? Oh no, I'm out of there. I'm out of there.
You can see someone or something poking out of the corner watching him. Andy shows that corner is only a few inches wide. So, if a person wouldn't be able to fit in there, what was that?
What was it? I don't know. They're breathing like they scared. Whoa. Is it little feet? There ain't nothing there.
What many don't know is that the devil allegedly had property in Alabama. Hale's Half Acre, aka Half Acre, Alabama, was once known as Luther's store. In 1830, the town was settled. By 1870, it had a post office, 3 general stores, a cotton gin, some mills, and a hotel, as well as stables and a kiln. The story is that a half-acre piece of property was overlooked by the survey. It was situated at a nearby crossroad. When this discovery was made, it was literally deeded to the devil. It then became known as Hale's Half Acre. A saloon was built there only to be lost by a fire. Nothing was on this half acre until the community wanted to build a church on the property. So the property was transferred from the devil to the Half Acre Community Church. This community in Marengo County would just be known as Half Acre from this point on. Shortly after World War II, people started relocating into other towns. And today, it's just a small unincorporated town with a church and a few residences. Apparently, when the devil went down to Georgia, he stopped through Alabama to go get some property too.
A paranormal investigator by the name Kuroshiro investigates a strange haunting in an outer order room of a hotel. This story in that room is that someone passed away in a horrific way. Ever since then, the room has been left vacated. Kuroshiro sets up his equipment and investigates the haunting. But as he's approaching a dark section of the room, he notices a door slightly open. As he turns around, this
is not a job I would like to have. Yo, did y'all see that?
Shiro sees a dark figure standing in the corner watching him. He believes he saw the spirit of the deceased victim of this.
On July 22nd, 2013, an 18-year-old girl named Bruna and her cousin Danielle were swimming off the coast of Recife in northeastern Brazil. Now, it was not a good day to be swimming here. In fact, the girls had been warned 3 separate times by lifeguards that you should not be in the water right now. It is not safe. The currents are bad, the waves are bad, the water is murky. It's just not safe to swim here. But the girls, not being from the area, they must not have recognized the dangers.
Moms just don't listen, do they?
And they continued swimming. And the lifeguards, they can't force them out of the water. It's not illegal to swim here. So they just set up an observation post where they could simply watch the girls. Shortly after 1 p.m., what the girls could not have seen is they were swimming directly into a rip current. A rip current is a narrow channel or current of water that's created next to the beach that basically flows directly away from the beach, almost like a river flowing out to sea. And when the girls swam into this current, it immediately began pushing them faster than they could swim away from the beach offshore. It pushed them about 50 meters out or almost a couple hundred feet when lifeguards recognized there was a serious problem. The girls were tiring themselves out trying to swim out of this current. They're barely able to keep their heads above water. They're starting to panic. And so lifeguards reacted. 2 of them went running in the water, and then they were able to get a jet ski launched as well. So you can see all on CCTV this occurring. The lifeguards, they're swimming out there. They get to about within 15 meters of the girls, and then the jet ski comes around. It's about the same distance away when all of a sudden you see around Bruna this huge explosion and thrashing of water all around her. And then you see the water all around her just immediately go dark red. There's tons of blood in the water. A huge bull shark, or suspected bull shark, had grabbed onto her left leg and bit her several times, doing massive damage. The lifeguards are able to get to the girls And I mean, they're right there. They're within a few meters when this attack occurs. They grab the girls, they put them on the back of this jet ski, they take them into shore. Bruna is carried up the shore, and it's immediately evident that she has lost a massive amount of blood. She looks white. Her leg is basically hanging on by just a bit of flesh. The shark has bitten all the way through all the muscles, all the bone, and she's lost almost all of her blood in the water. They put her on a military police vehicle, which rushes her to the hospital. On the way there, she goes into cardiac arrest. They are able to revive her. They get her into surgery, where they end up amputating her leg, but she would go into cardiac arrest several more times, and she would die that evening. She had just lost way, way, way too much blood. As a final note, if you're ever caught in a rip current, always swim perpendicular to the beach. Never swim against it. You're going to exhaust yourself and you will drown.
That's just messed up, y'all. I myself am a land being, meaning I don't want to go in the water. I don't want to go in no air. I want to stay where my feet are grounded on this earth. You hear me? They crazy.
Normal looking photos with disturbing backstories. Episode 3. This photo was taken of a Catholic teenager named Annalise Michelle. She was living a normal life until she was exhibiting strange behaviors. She would constantly black out at school, hallucinate, and even eat insects. Michelle claimed that she was possessed, and her parents ended up at the same conclusion. She went through 67 exorcisms, in which none of them helped. Before long, she ended up dying at age 23 due to malnutrition, only weighing 68 pounds.
Wow.
These two guys were driving along a haunted highway when this happened.
Whoa.
This eerie dashcam
that?
footage shows two guys driving along a highway in the middle of the night, when out of nowhere, a woman walks towards their truck. The two guys immediately stop the truck and call 911, but neither them or the police could find this woman. What's even creepier is that they would later find out
A ghost or
that
something.
figure that looked like a teenage girl had died in these roads. She had been making her way back home one night when she was hit by a truck.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew.
spirits be real out
Part
here.
3. The first firefighter killed in 9/11 attacks was struck dead by a falling body in the courtyard. One of them was killed on his way in, and the other was killed on his way out. Right now, there are tiny little bugs on your face munching on your dead skin. Your bones are wet. If you don't have kids, you will break an unbroken line of children that has gone on for tens of millions of years. A scientist studying death asked a man who was about to be executed by a guillotine if he would blink after his head was chopped off. He ended up blinking for 30 seconds. Most laugh tracks for TV shows were recorded in the early 1950s, meaning that you hear dead people laugh. If you're attacked by a bear, it won't try to kill you like other predators. Instead, it'll just start eating you. One day, someone will mention you for the last time, then they'll never ever mention you again.
That's facts. Bruh. What pushed her? What pushed her? And she heard something right before that, or felt. Wow. Hey, I know
A
she
teen
said
crashed
it.
his car into a ditch, and what happened next was shocking. A teen named Brandon Swanson was on his way home from a celebration when he crashed into a ditch. Unsure of where he was, he got his phone out to call his parents. He told them that he was near a city called Lind, and that they needed to pick him up. Time went by, and his parents weren't able to locate him, and he started walking towards a city called Marshall. His parents were on call with him for 47 minutes, and something strange happened. He said that he saw some lights, then abruptly yelled in distress, in which the call ended. He was never found after the call, and the authorities are still yet to find out what happened to him. One of the theories is that he might have fallen into a nearby river, but that is only a speculation.
On October 9, 2013, 37-year-old Daniel Van Sickle and his friend 36-year-old Sam Slack arrived at the Blue Springs State Park in Florida for a day of scuba diving. It's a beautiful location for this. The water is crystal clear. It's a relatively easy dive until you get down to about 60 feet or 20 meters when it narrows into some limestone crevasses and caves, which extend down to about 120 feet or 36 meters deep. But you're not supposed to be down in those caves if you're not cave certified. And Sam Slack was not cave certified. In fact, he was only an open water diver with very little experience. And as an open
find
water
out he
diver,
got
which
stuck
is the
under one of
first
these
level of
caves.
certification, you're not supposed to go below 60 feet, period. So when the men arrived, they actually had to sign paperwork stating that they would not go down into these caves or below 60 feet, period. But as soon as the two men got in the water, That is immediately what they did. They went straight down to the bottom at 120 feet, down into these tighter crevasses, down to the dark bottom. But everything went okay. They just explored down there for a few minutes before they decided they were going to head back up and explore some more of these limestone formations. However, on their way back up, once they got to about 80 or 90 feet, some 30 meters, Daniel looks over and sees Sam giving him the out of air sign. I have no air left. So Daniel swims over to him and he gives him his regulator so they can buddy breathe. Where normally you'd give your regulator up, they'd take a few breaths, they'd pass it back, you'd take a few breaths, and then you make an emergency ascent. However, after about 30 seconds, Sam was not giving Daniel the regulator back, and Daniel's motioning to him, hey, I need my air back, but Sam is pulling away, he's keeping it, he's not giving it back. So Daniel has to make the heartbreaking decision to fight Sam underwater for his air, and he gets a hold of it, he rips the regulator away from Sam, and he kicks away from him, and just beelines it for the surface without taking any decompression, safety stops, nothing. He just goes straight to the surface, where he screams out to a maintenance worker, hey, call 911. And then bravely, he goes back down to get Sam. And he finds Sam floating on his back about 100 feet, some 33 meters under the water, just floating there lifelessly. And he grabs Sam, he brings him up to the surface, where Daniel tries to give him mouth to mouth along with another maintenance worker. And they would call 911. Paramedics would arrive shortly after, but Sam could not be revived. He drowned there on that day. It was determined later that he had never opened his valve on his tank all the way. He just opened it a quarter turn. And if you're a scuba diver, you open that all the way and then a half turn back. And that's what prevented him from getting the air.
If you've ever been...
Man, look. That right there is called karma at its finest. He bogus. Why he ain't just, say, hey, let me get my couple breaths. Take yours. Let's get up out of here. Because he wanted to be selfish and take all the air. Now he has no air.
The Birmingham Zoo, the Botanical Gardens, or Mountain Brooks Lane Park, then what you may not know is that you've literally walked over people's graves. Because this area was once a massive cemetery. Over 4,700 people were buried there. Back when about 200 acres of this land was known as the Southside Cemetery or Red Mountain Cemetery. This area was known for the burial of the poor, or those who came from what was known as pest houses, which is where people were quarantined when they had communicable diseases such as tuberculosis. Burials began in the 1880s and stopped around 1905, or 1906 depending on who you ask. And because the cemetery was set aside for the poor, there were very crude markers to show where people were actually buried. After 1905, this land became a couple of different things. One of them was Lane Park, named after Mayor Lane. Another one was the Allen Gray Fish Hatchery. There was also a stone quarry, a baseball field, and a golf driving range. And now those graves can be found up under the zoo, the Botanical Gardens, Lane Park, and also some houses in Mountain Brook. When the Dunn-Formal Rose Garden in the Botanical Gardens was being created, they found at least 3 graves, and a litany of other items. That includes shoelaces, fasteners, and broken bottles. Records of some of those buried can still be found today. Both the Botanical Gardens and the zoo have owned this part of their history. And even though we can't change the past, what we can do if we visit these places is respect the land that we're walking.
Yo, we over here walking on all type of dead people, ain't we? This is messed up. Imagine that, though. Imagine, you just at the zoo walking and someone tells you, oh yeah, there's a bunch of dead bodies underneath you. That would be kind of creepy, not gonna lie. But yeah, these are some of the most scary and creepy TikToks that you'll be able to find on the internet. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn your notification bell on, and until next time, YouTube, peace.